Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GTOG podcast. It is Wednesday night. This is Finesse. I am opening the podcast tonight. We have Artistry on the phone. He is coming to you live from Florida with his family. Artistry, you watched the game tonight. Where did you watch? What are your thoughts?
Well, I watched it. I was very pleased to see we had NBC Sports Network at the condo where we're staying. I'm now en route back to the condo. Had a quick trip to CVS. Got some 2% milk. Got some water bottles. We're equipped at least for the morning, and I couldn't feel better about what happened tonight. I just feel like we needed this. We were hurting. I think we had a tough week as a blog, as a nation, and we're back.
Now, was this the performance that you were waiting for out of the Penguins, or do you think that kind of Game 3 was the performance you're waiting for out of the Penguins, and this was just like the explosion that's imminent at any time?
I think it's definitely more the latter. I thought we played just as well last game. Christian was out of his mind. We just didn't finish. And I think this game reflected what we've known all along, that the Senators really don't belong on the ice with us.
No, it's a complete mismatch, and it has been pretty much for almost all of 4 games. I mean, there's not a memorable Senators play. There's not a memorable Senators player. And I'm not saying this in any way to diminish what the Penguins are doing. The Senators are a good team. They just handled the number 2 seed in the East in 5 games. But, what the Penguins are doing to the Senators is incredibly impressive. Completely dominant in pretty much every facet of the game. And tonight was it's unbelievable what happened tonight, because the first period, if you had told somebody at the end of the first period, who do you think is more likely to get yanked from this game, Thomas Vokoun or Craig Anderson? Not a single person out of 1,000 people would have said Craig Anderson. And
right. I actually tweeted in the first period, toward the end of the first period, maybe after the Senators scored their second goal, that I thought we might see Fleury tonight. In fact, the opposite was true. Anderson was the one that had the complete meltdown. Now, I still don't think that Vokoun played particularly well, but there were 2 incredibly encouraging developments tonight for me. One was the play of Malkin's line, and one was Chris Letang rebounding from an atrocious first period to somehow end up with 4 assists.
I know. He is the most puzzling player, because that first period was just I don't want to bring any negativity to this podcast, but the first period left you hoping that he could only get better as the game went on, I will say. And then he was amazing in the second 2 periods. And that's the Letang that I want to see all the time. He was phenomenal. And when you were talking about Malkin's line, I wouldn't even say it's the line as much as I saw a noticeable difference in James Neal's skating tonight. And the Sunday to Wednesday extra 2 days off was just huge for him, because he had not been skating well at all. And if he gets going, I mean, it's almost like with all these trades and with how well Kunitz and Dupuis have been doing, we kind of forgot what we had of in James Neal. And if that guy gets going, and he's our 5th or 6th best forward, come on, get out of here.
Yeah, the thing about James Neal, he played with tremendous heart. He was a guy that, even though he lost his composure last spring against the Flyers, so did everybody else. I'm not sure what difference it made, but he was a guy against the Flyers last spring that still was just playing with so much heart every game. And we saw that again tonight.
Now, what do you think about the Vokoun-Fleury situation? Is there any doubt? I mean, I know you said you didn't think Vokoun played that well, but we got a question from Octavio. Do we stay with Vokoun or go with MAF? in my mind, you just stay with Vokoun. I think that if the Penguins had won the last game and had won Game 3 like they should have, even though it probably would have been a shutout for Vokoun, I could have seen in that scenario maybe you go Fleury in Game 4. But I just think that the risk is a little bit too great to go back to Fleury right now. Like, Vokoun gave up 3 goals, but he's winning. I know you want to get Fleury some work, but if you lose, you're coming back to Ottawa Game 6. I mean, it's still 3-1. The series is not in the bag. It's not over. It should be over, but it's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't overthink it. I think as long as we're winning games, you leave them in there, and you pull them when you have to. You know, Fleury can play whenever he plays. There's no magic to it.
Right. It's not like I think Fleury is going to rot away and have muscle atrophy if he doesn't get in a game within the next couple of days.
That'll probably do him some good.
Yeah. Let's see. We have Dan Bilesman tonight. Did you see the fist pump? Did you catch the fist pump?
I didn't, but he deserves the fist pump. He made great adjustments. He juggled the lines, and it works. He deserves credit when that happens. He just gets all criticism when the team isn't winning. You know, even if it's not justified, he's getting criticism, so he deserves the praise.
Right. It's like, I think sometimes we lose a little bit of perspective because we're criticizing him, and we've done it too. I mean, I don't think we've done it with sort of the venom. Like, we haven't been as anti-Malkin, Neal, Iginla as other people have, but we definitely thought it's not the best combination for the Penguins. I mean, I think a lot of people have thought, you know, you put Kunitz with Malkin and Neal and Iginla with Crosby and Dupuis, but what I don't think we've ever said, and I don't think it's even physically possible because of how good of players they are, is that Malkin, Neal, and Iginla wouldn't be good because they're all great players. It's almost impossible for them not to be good. And somehow tonight, Malkin was another dominant game, and for the second game in a row, he had no points. But he's playing
that doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely phenomenally, in my mind.
Yeah, what a move by Crosby, by the way. I mean, you know you had a good night when you get like 15 minutes into a podcast and you have that goal.
Yeah, that goal was disgusting.
It's ridiculous.
You know what I do feel?
To put a backhander like that in the very corner of the top of the net.
Well, what was most impressive to me about the backhander was not even that he got it under the crossbar, because a lot of guys can put a backhander under the crossbar. It's that if you notice when he did the sort of, it was like a semi-curl and drag type of move. But when he made the move from the forehand to the backhand, he didn't re-stick handle to get the backhand up. He just brought it to his backhand and then immediately put it under the crossbar.
Straight blade.
And I think it's worth asking. And I know that whenever the announcers say it, they kind of say it and hedge a little bit, and they put him like in the class of the best backhand players ever. Have you ever, and I'm asking you, is he the number one guy, yes or no? Have you ever seen a player better on his backhand than Sidney Crosby?
No, the only guy that's even in the discussion for me is Datsyuk.
Well, have that discussion. Why don't you work that out in your head right now? Who's better?
I'm going to go with Crosby.
I don't think you're going to get any argument here. It's just such a weapon. It's like that backhand goal is not a goal that other guys score, because they got to get a little more in tight. They got to reset the shot. They got to put the puck on their backhand. And it's funny because I was actually a little bit frustrated with Crosby, especially coming out of the first period, because he was playing so well, but he could have had 4 goals in the first period.
Yeah, he's got to bury the Phillips block.
Yeah, he has to get that upstairs. I think if we lose this game 3-2, that's a play, the proverbial cliched, like, I'm going to go back and circle this play. That would definitely be a play that I was circling.
How sure were you on the power play where Crosby shot wide and it went back to Neal and he had like 2 quarters in the net to shoot at? How positive were you that that's going into the net?
100%. But again, I think Crosby. I mean, not to be a nitpicker, but I think Crosby should have buried it first.
Right.
Like that's how rattled Craig Anderson was. And obviously I'm saying in jest that I'm criticizing Crosby. The dude's amazing, but like Craig Anderson should have been scored on twice on that play. Like
yeah, when he melts down, he really does with style. Let me ask you a couple questions, and then I gotta go because I'm sitting in this car. It's like 93 degrees. People are looking at me. They wonder if this guy's doing in the parking lot. It's not a good situation. Do we have a decision to make the Game 5 with respect to the lineup? I thought that Ottawa could not handle our speed with the injection of Vic and Jokinen in particular in the lineup. James Romero and that. Well, those guys are healthy. Do we leave the lineup as it is for Game 5?
In case anyone didn't hear that, because you're breaking up a little bit, you were asking about whether we do any lineup changes for Game 5. What I wouldn't do is take Jokinen out. I thought Jokinen was really good tonight and added a level of offense, sustained offense, to the lower two lines that nobody else has given the team except for Kennedy.
Right.
And so I think
great game.
Yeah, Jokinen was a presence all night. I'm looking up his minutes right now. What did he play? 12 minutes. I mean, that's good. That's really good for him. He played 12 very strong minutes. So Jokinen, I don't take out of the lineup under any circumstance. I think that you could bring Morrow back if he's healthy for Bo Bennett. I mean, Bennett was not that noticeable, which is fine. If Bennett's playing and he's not noticeable, I think it's kind of a wash. I mean, it's always a bonus if he's great, but that's you can't expect that. So I would leave Jokinen in for sure, and then Bennett, I wouldn't have a problem taking him out if Morrow's healthy.
I think that's fair. I'll also say this: when Matt Cook and Tyler Kennedy like they did tonight, and really in Game 3, Penguins are almost impossible to handle.
Yeah, that's the Kennedy move. The Penguins are 5-1 since Kennedy's been brought back in the lineup.
Yeah,
the dude's a difference maker.
And Matt Cook has been fantastic.
Yeah, that play. This is what made me really happy about the game tonight, is that the Penguins showed that third period killer instinct. Like, we go in the third period up 3-2, and then immediately score a power play goal, and then not only kill an Ottawa power play that you knew they were going to get, but bury a shorthanded goal. And like a team that's this much better than Ottawa, which the Penguins are, that's what you want to see. That's what's to be expected. Like, put Ottawa down. They were waiting to be beat. They were so ready to be beat in Game 3. And the only reason that they're still in the series is because we let them off the hook. And tonight, we didn't let them off the hook. And I was so happy to see that. Like, and then it just piled on. Like, run up the score on this team. The Penguins are so good. They should be running up the score on Ottawa. There's no excuse not to. And tonight was just a total exhale in that regard. And it was great.
Not to end on a down note, but any idea what happened to Hans Tunis?
No, but he came back. He played, didn't he? He played a little bit.
He left again.
Oh, he did? No, I don't know. I didn't see anything. If they were talking about it, I might have missed it. I actually flipped over to the Pirate game during commercials, so I might have missed some stuff. But hopefully it was just rest. I mean, he's just got such a talent. He's just got such a finish on him, on that moist, fluffy, velvety set of hands of his.
So velvety, so soft.
One thing before you go, I know you want to run. I know you have to go. But it's worth pointing out that Mark Eaton tonight didn't notice him much during the game, which means he's playing a great game. He played 17 minutes and 41 seconds tonight. It was a +3.
Listen, this is a series that's tailor-made for Marky. The Islanders were not a team that he was equipped to handle. Now he's facing an awkward team with a bunch of third-line forwards. It's like heaven for Marky. This is where he belongs.
Right. There is no mismatch to exploit against the England-Murray pairing.
No, he's just there to absorb the drops.
Yeah, and he did a great job. So, anyway, any closing thoughts before I let you off the hook? Do you want to tell anybody about your plans in Florida? I mean, what are you thinking about? Did the Pens close this out in 5?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think that I predicted it. Did you predict Pens in 5?
I think you said 6 and I said 7. I got nervous. Originally in the podcast, after we eliminated the Islanders, I said 5, and then I switched it to 7 because I got nervous.
Well, now I think we're saying Pens in 5.
There's no other way. There's no two ways about it. It has to be Pens in 5. It will be Pens in 5. You heard it here first. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will be back in the morning with some more thoughts on a recap regular post. Thank you for listening. Tell your friends to listen. And until next time, GTOG.